Today, I invite you to step with me into a moment of quiet reflection where our daydreams meet our duties and our visions connect to our shared tomorrow. From the earliest days, I have carried in my heart a sense of purpose, the love of this land, the hopes of its people, and the promise of what lies ahead. I see how each of you young and older, near and far, wrap yourselves in your own dreams, dreams of kindness, of innovation, of connection. And as I stand here beside my dear sister, I feel profound gratitude for the trust you place in us and for the inspiration you give. Our dreams are not idle clouds drifting by. They are the constellation of ideas that guide us. In those dreams we find courage, the courage to serve, the courage to listen, and the courage to build. I commit myself to that service, to listen to voices that are too often silent, to learn from one another, and to uphold the values that unite us as one people. And yes, daydreams can be gentle, even whimsical, but when we act, they become real. They become the roads we walk together. To my sister, your companionship reminds me that no one walks this path alone. To all of you watching, listening, dreaming, thank you for your trust, your patience, and your hope. Responsibility to me has never been a burden, but a calling. It is something that grows and evolves just like we do. From the moment I first began to understand the role I was born into, I realized that responsibility is not about the weight it carries, but the purpose it gives. It is about holding close the trust of those who look to you, and honoring that trust through every choice, every moment, and every word. Service is the language in which responsibility speaks. You do not simply carry duty, you express it through action. And action, especially today, must be rooted in understanding, shaped by learning, and carried out with integrity. As I stand among my generation, I feel deeply that responsibility is no longer a solitary legacy. It is a shared act of courage, a living bond between those who lead and those they serve. Growing up, I have learned that being a part of something greater than oneself can feel daunting. The world moves quickly. The challenges we face have no borders, and yet there is a quiet strength that comes from knowing you are not alone. Responsibility is not about standing above, it is about standing with. Learning from people in every corner of our country, from those who have lived through trials, from those who wake each morning ready to build, grow, and help. I have seen their eyes filled with hope, and it strengthens me. It teaches me that service is not simply about speaking, it is about listening first. Each moment invites us to serve, not because we are compelled to, but because we are called to. Whether it is the environment we breathe in, the peace we build within borders, or the future we shape for generations yet to come, service is not a distant concept. It is what we carry in our hands and in our hearts every day. Responsibility is also about dignity, and dignity begins with respect for our history, respect for diversity, respect for the unspoken humanity that ties us together. The bond that we share as a nation is stitched with stories of resilience and courage. With my sister by my side, I have come to see how each of us has a place in this story, and each of us can uphold it through our actions and our dreams. To serve is to stay conscious. It is to choose the common good over personal ease. Service is knowing that your time, your energy, your voice has a purpose, and that purpose is larger than any one individual. As a young woman today, I understand that many look at the future with uncertainty, but I choose to see it as a horizon of possibility. And that possibility is built by all of us together. There is wisdom in our veterans, there is bravery in our youth, there is love in our families, and resilience in our community. Service means seeing all these things in their true light and acting in harmony with them. We cannot afford to let fear silence our voices or divide our intentions. Responsibility is, in fact, the bridge that connects our differences with our dreams. As time pushes us toward a new century, as technology transforms how we speak, love, solve, and grow, our responsibility too must rise to meet new forms of connection. It is in every student who studies not only for themselves, but for what they may become for others, in every nurse who chooses compassion day after day, in every farmer who watches the skies and tends the earth out of devotion, not just duty. I have learned that responsibility is not just about grand gestures. It is in the choices that seem small but are deeply meaningful. It is when you pick up someone's hope when they have set it down. It is when you carry your values even when nobody is watching. It is choosing patience, choosing courage, choosing empathy, even when it is easier to walk away. Responsibility asks us to be constant learners, to evolve with the world, and to step forward even when the path is uncertain. Allowing ourselves to be shaped by wisdom, guided by principle, and led by love. Responsibility is not inherited, it is practiced, and every day is a new chance to practice it better, and in that practice we discover ourselves, not just as individuals, but as part of a larger story of humanity. Service takes the dreams we dare to imagine and makes them real. Responsibility is what nourishes these dreams, what protects them from becoming empty promises, and it is what transforms them, through dedication, into legacies of hope. So let us remind ourselves, we do not carry responsibility alone, we carry it together. It is shared between hands that build, minds that innovate, hearts that believe, and it is made real when we remind each other of what truly matters: unity, dignity, compassion, and peace. In silence, in celebration, in challenge, and in triumph, may we always remember that service is not a duty to be fulfilled, but a life to be lived, fully, deeply, conscientiously, a life that does not seek applause but seeks purpose. Because responsibility, in the end, is not about us. It is about those who come after us. It is about the echoes of our actions, the truth of our intentions, and the legacy we leave behind. And that is the promise I want to carry forward, with gratitude, with humility, and with unwavering devotion. Youth is not just a season of life, it is a force, a current that runs through time, shaping how we dream, how we speak, and how we face the challenges of today. It is a living promise that tomorrow can be better than yesterday. I stand here among the youth of my generation, as one voice in a vast chorus of possibility, and I believe with unwavering certainty that we are not merely inhabitants of the future, we are its architects. Hope is the quiet power that rises when all seems lost. It is that spark in the eyes of young people who dare to imagine, who refuse to accept what is, and instead focus on what can be. Hope reminds us that even in moments of doubt or struggle, there is room for change, room for healing, for creating, for standing up. Hope invites us to look beyond the present, no matter how complicated, and into a horizon filled not with fear, but with courage. For us, the youth, hope is not passive. It is not just something we feel, it is something we do. It is the way we choose to speak up when we see injustice, the way we innovate, not just to create the next breakthrough, but to solve the problems that generations before us could not. Hope shows itself when a young girl in a rural community opens a book and imagines a life she was never told she could have. It is there when a young boy plants a tree, believing the earth will thank him many years from now. We are growing up in a world of immense opportunity, but also immense responsibility. Our generation inherits both the dreams and the wounds of the past. We are the first to fully understand the reality of climate change, but also the first to bring unprecedented unity and awareness to the world. That is what makes us powerful. That is what makes us hopeful. And as I look around, I see young people who understand that hope is not separate from action. It is found in every protest march, every late-night study session, every artistic expression that lifts a truth to light, every friendship that crosses borders. Our youth is global, our energy is borderless. Our voices are rising together, But hope, like any flame, needs fuel. It needs to be protected, nurtured, and shared. It needs voices, voices that question, sing, challenge, build, and change. And when hope feels fragile, when it trembles in the face of hardship, we must carry it for one another. It is our responsibility, as young members of this world, not to let our hopes dim, because they light the way forward. That is why the future is not something we merely wait for. It's something we compose, one day, one choice, one act of courage at a time. The future is unfolding with every young person who decides to stay kind even when the world is harsh, with every student who believes knowledge can heal, with every leader who sees people not as numbers, but as human beings with dreams and dignity. I am deeply aware of the truth that today's hopes will become tomorrow's history, and that every generation has a moment where it must declare what it stands for. That moment for us is now. There are struggles we cannot ignore: climate change, inequality, division, loneliness. These are not distant issues. They are wounds that touch us deeply, but every struggle also presents an invitation to rise, to unite, to imagine boldly. Let this be the defining mark of our generation, not just that we lived at a time of crisis, but that we responded with empathy, creativity, and unstoppable hope. I think often about the future, not just my own, but that of the sisters standing beside me, of the millions of children who have not yet found their voice, of those who dream but do not yet see the way forward. I think of the shoulders we stand on, and the hearts that will beat long after we are gone. That is the future I imagine, one where we pass on not just what was given to us, but something greater in return. It is comforting to know that we do not travel this path alone. Youth has always walked the world hand in hand with possibility. When we are allowed to learn, to speak, to create, we will build, and we will build with kindness. If we choose to believe in one another, to celebrate the gifts each of us brings instead of fearing what makes us different, the future becomes not something uncertain, but something promising. Hope is strengthened not by perfection, but by perseverance. And the perseverance of a new generation is something this world has never quite seen before. When we look to the future, let us do so not with worry, but with wonder. Let us embrace the idea that hope does not make us naive, it makes us brave. It gives us the heart to envision peace, the hands to build with purpose, and the will to rise again when we fall. And so I stand before you, proud, determined, grateful, and hopeful. Together we are the future, and that is not a burden, it is a privilege. Let us hold it with humility and with joy. Let us protect it fiercely. Let us refuse to settle for anything less than what we can dream, because youth is more than a moment in life, it is a movement. And hope is more than a feeling, it is a gift we pass on with each step into the future. Gratitude begins in the quiet spaces of the heart. It is born not from grand gestures, but from the simple awareness of how deeply connected we are to our families, our communities, our history, and our shared purpose. And I believe with certainty that gratitude is not simply something we feel, it is something that transforms us. It reminds us of where we come from, and strengthens our resolve for where we are going. I have lived each day with the understanding that every opportunity is a gift and every responsibility a sign of trust. From the teachers who shaped my curiosity to the citizens who remind me of the dignity and diversity of our nation, I carry their faces and voices with me. They remind me that gratitude is more than a polite expression. It is a living honor, one that is returned through heartfelt dedication. The more I discover the world, the more I understand that gratitude binds us together. It humbles us, but also empowers us. It allows us to recognize the sacrifices of those who came before us, and inspires us to offer our own contribution with open arms. The young and old, the strong and the vulnerable, we all have a part to play in building a future that reflects the best of who we are. To my family, I owe the strength and support that have guided me from my earliest steps. My parents have taught me that leadership without empathy is empty, and that discipline without compassion is incomplete. From them, I learned that commitment is not the absence of fear, but the decision to show up fully, even when challenges arise. And from my sister, I am reminded every day of the beauty of growing together, of having someone to lean on, laugh with, and dream beside. There is so much to be grateful for: those who choose kindness when it is not easy, those who stand up for others, those who give their time to serve without expecting recognition. These are the people who teach us the meaning of commitment. They show us that life's true value lies not in what we possess, but in what we give. Commitment, then, is the gift we give back to the world. It is not a promise made out of obligation, but out of love. It is the decision to engage fully, to stay present even when the road is winding or unclear. Commitment asks us to stay rooted in our values while growing with the times. It invites us to contribute to the well-being of others, to the culture we cherish, to the natural world that sustains us. And commitment looks different for each of us. For some, it is staying behind after class to help a friend understand their work. For others, it is caring for a family in times of uncertainty. For our frontline workers, it is the dedication to keep serving, even when the world pauses in fear. No act is too small, no effort is unnoticed. This is what I have learned. True commitment is fueled by gratitude, and gratitude deepens each time we commit ourselves to what is right. I am always aware that I am walking a path shaped by many hands, not only those lively in the present, but also those who came before, whose messages echo through history. It is to them that we must show our gratitude by honoring their work with our actions. And it is for those who will live after us that we must honor our commitment by leaving them a world they can sustain, love, and be proud of. So let us not consider gratitude as something quiet or passive. Let us consider it a force of connection, a force that carries us into action. When we are grateful, we cannot stand still. When we truly recognize the depth of what we have received, we are compelled to respond, with humility, with helpfulness, with humanity. I believe that it is not enough to speak of gratitude. We must live it. We must write it into every conversation, every service, every sacrifice, and commitment makes that possible. It keeps our promises alive. It raises our intentions into something real, something lasting. There will be days when the world feels heavy, when it is hard to see the light of our efforts. On those days, gratitude can be our anchor, reminding us of the strength we share, and commitment can be our guide, reminding us that even one step forward is a victory in its own way. As long as we stay committed to one another, to our purpose, to our shared ideals, there is nothing we cannot overcome. Together, we can turn challenges into chapters of change, and gratitude into moments of unity. We can be unwavering in our devotion not only to our traditions, but to the future that invites us, boldly, courageously, and collectively, to shape it. And so, I stand here today, humbled, grateful, and committed. Humbled by the trust placed in me, grateful for the love that surrounds me, and committed to serving with every part of who I am. Let us move forward together, united not just by shared history, but by the shared promise of what lies ahead. Let gratitude fuel our steps, and commitment shape our contributions, for in doing so, we honor where we've come from, and we help pave the way for those who will follow. It is from the depths of gratitude and the clarity of commitment that our strongest actions will rise, and our brightest futures will be built.